Welcome to episode 4 of how to regain your fitness levels in the early stages of recovery from a nervous breakdown. This is the Spirit Spa, an online sanctuary dedicated to supporting you if you're in the terrifying early stages of recovery and helping you to transform that terror into triumph over this adversity in your life. I'm Karen Packwood, a best-selling author, an author of the book Soul Walks and Sacred Circles, The Art of Healing from a Nervous Breakdown. In today's episode, we're going to be identifying the fears that might be preventing you from stepping into your current vision for your fitness. But let's recap on what we've done in the last 3 videos. And if you haven't watched those, I recommend that you watch them before proceeding to today's episode. So in episode 1, we ascertained exactly where you're at emotionally and energetically. And we talked about the importance and helpfulness of actually labelling and having names for your current emotions and your current emotions. In step 2, we identified your actual vision, your current vision for where you would like to be in terms of your fitness. Is it getting up out of bed? Is it getting dressed? Is it going downstairs? Is it spending time with your family? Is it being able to go for a short walk? And so on. In episode 3, we identified the next 3 steps that you need to take in order to be able to regain the actual fitness vision that you have for yourself. And if you remember in that video, we stood just underneath the summit of the hill that we're aiming to reach the summit of by the end of the 7th video. And if you remember, that was the hill that I told you that in terms of, for me, it was one of my dreams that I really wanted to be able to come back and be able to walk a hill of that height when I actually regained my fitness. But of course, that wasn't where I was at to begin with. For me, it was things like getting out of bed and being able to go downstairs. And that's probably where you're at right now. So where are we today on this walk to the summit of that hill? Well, I have brought you to a cave, and if you can see behind me, you probably can't see behind me because it's very dark, and the reason it's dark is because it's a cave that's behind me. And often people think of caves as being quite scary places and quite brutal places. And certainly in my writings, I'll often talk about caves in terms of the terrifying sort of inner and spiritual wilderness that we find ourselves in these early stages. And I write about things like the cave of shame, the cave of isolation, the cave of brutality. And the reason I do this is because as part of the healing journey, we have to be able to go into some of the dark places, into some of the fears. We have to be able to work out what some of the fears are, what some of the difficult things are that we're feeling inside, and so that as we actually connect with those, we can begin to understand them, find out their roots, and work out how to transform them. But first of all, you've got to be able to identify them. So that's what we're going to do today in terms of these 3 steps that you've identified for yourself, in order to actually achieve the aim that you've set for yourself for this initial fitness goal. So we're going to go into the cave before we actually begin the process. And while I'm making my intrepid way into the cave, you might like to actually make sure that you have your pen and pencil handy, because you will need to be able to, just wading through some water here, you will need to be able to write some answers down. I will appear again in a minute. Here we are, we're just coming back to just bear with me, because I'm just going to find a way of propping myself so that I can carry on. There we go. There we go. It's very intrepid walking into the darkness of a cave, but here I am. So yeah, make sure you have a pencil and a pen with you. And so I've just got a beautiful little dog just walking past on his early morning walk. So there he is, he's gone past now. He's not going to come into the darkness of the cave when there's a strange lady in there. Okay, yeah, so here we are, we're in the darkness of the cave. And this is often what it feels like, isn't it, in the early stages of recovery? You feel like you're dark on the inside and you feel like you're dark on the outside. Before we enter into the process today, though, I want to remind you about caves. You know, remember that in days gone by, people lived in caves. Caves were here to protect them. This is where they built their fires to keep themselves warm. This is where they cooked their food. This is where they slept. Caves weren't just about austerity and brutality. They were also about beautiful protection and safety and security. And remember that it's in caves that some of the most precious jewels are actually found as well. Diamonds are found. And this is why I like to work with fears during the healing recovery, because it's going into the darkness of these fears and the fear of these fears, if you like, that we can begin to unpick the diamonds and find the jewels within the darkness. And we're going to look at that a little bit more in our next video. But let's take ourselves into today's process. I'd like you to begin, as we always do, by just closing your eyes and taking a nice deep breath in. And allow yourself to just really connect with your breath, and remember that you can close and you can pause the video if you wish to until you feel fully connected with your breath, and come back to the video when you feel fully connected with your breath, and allowing yourself to breathe in beautiful white light of love and healing, and breathing out any anxiety or any terror that's not going to serve you today. And when you feel fully connected with that, I'd like you to then just very gently ask yourself, in terms of the vision that I've set myself over these next few days, you might just want to remind yourself and get clarity over what that goal actually is. Remind yourself of what you did in episode 2. Remind yourself of the 3 steps that you feel you need to take in order to be able to attain that goal. And now ask yourself, in order for me to be able to attain this goal, what are any fears that might actually prevent me from doing this? And take some time, breathe into your body, into your mind, into your heart, into your soul. Take your time, don't rush it, because sometimes if we allow ourselves to give ourselves more time, answers that we haven't even thought of begin to come to us. So just take a few moments, and again, remember you can pause the video until it feels as if you have actually written down everything and anything that you can possibly think of. And you might find yourself quite surprised by what actually comes to you. And if nothing comes to you immediately, don't worry. Just keep asking yourself over the next few hours and the next couple of days the same question, and jot it down. It's almost as if you're emptying yourself of all of your fears. I know for me it was things like I was frightened that I was going to exhaust myself. I was frightened that I was going to kind of tumble back downwards in terms of my energy levels. I felt so incredibly fragile. I know I've shared in a previous video about how at the beginning of my healing journey, I was actually scared to breathe because I was so frightened that my next breath would be the breath that would shatter me completely and absolutely completely break me into oblivion. So just be very honest with yourself, very gentle, and remind yourself that this is not about being blameful or criticizing yourself or being punitive. This is actually about being gentle and kind, because these fears are part of you. And there's nothing to be cross about or angry with them, although I know it's frustrating that you have them. But just very gently ask them to show themselves to you. And when you feel very complete in that, just thank your fears for stepping forward. We're not going to do anything with them in this episode. We're just going to allow them to come forward, and you might find that more come to you over the next few hours. And we're going to do some more work on them in episode 5. Today we're just identifying them. And you might want to be finishing by just checking where are you at on your emotional and energetic scale as you kind of, identify and bring these fears forward. And when it feels complete, take a few moments to come back into connection with your gentle, loving and peaceful breath. Reconnecting with that beautiful white light of love and healing. feeling your body as peaceful as it can possibly be. If it's created any tension in your body, just breathe in some peace and relaxation into the body. And we're going to just very gently bring ourselves out of this cave where we've been very brave. We've allowed ourselves to really connect with some of these very terrifying feelings that we carry inside us, but we've allowed ourselves to do it with great gentleness and great love. And you can hear me wading through the water. And we're coming back out into the lights now. And I'd like to do this just to remind you that often when we're in the darkness of a breakdown, we don't believe the light is there. We don't believe we're ever going to recover. And the whole point of this journey, these episodes, this walk that I'm taking you on is to reassure you that you can do. And some of the processes that I'm sharing with you today are some processes that you can use to help you on your way. If you have any questions or anything that you would like to share in relation to today's episodes, please leave comments in the comments box below or email me at karenpackwood@gmail.com. If you like the video, please like it. If you would like to subscribe to the channel to receive regular updates, please subscribe to the channel. But in the meantime, until the next episode, I'd like you to just give yourself permission to be very gentle, kind, and loving to yourself. And in the next episode, we're going to be exploring these fears and how we can transform them. So I'm wishing you lots of love and luck for a peaceful day.